This is Otaku Station, broadcasting anime analysis to anyone who will listen. We have a basement archive full of an ever-growing collection of anime media. We dig deep into the great anime of the past to give you the context you need to fully appreciate the best this medium has to offer. Let's jam. Welcome to the broadcast. I hope you're having a good day wherever you happen to be right now. This is Otaku Station, where today we'll be talking about the third episode of Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex. All's well here at the tower, though I'm kind of tired. We've had an uptick in people stopping by to check out the new manga cafe downstairs and pick up a few baked goods and hang out and talk a little bit. It's good. I'm just not used to there being this many people around. And with the hack a little while ago, I'm a little nervous, but you know, gotta trust people. Anyway, let's head to the research room to look at the actual animation of Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex. So the animation in Standalone Complex is really interesting. When I was looking back on it, there wasn't a lot I could think of to say about it. The animation didn't really stand out. And I think that's kind of the point. This series favors naturalistic movement. Characters walk and talk like regular humans do. Now, obviously, enhanced cyborgs like the Major and Bato will do these 30-foot leaps from a standstill. But other than that, the animation is very naturalistic. Now, they also do the typical anime thing where conversations have limited movement, although there's still quite a bit of subtle character movement, a few frames of people sitting in chairs, sighing, holding the bridge of their nose, things like that, which helps establish character better, but it's still very much the anime thing of quieter conversation scenes, more high-budget action scenes. But even those high-budget action scenes, again, the characters are moving in relatively normal ways. And I think that makes sense. In a sense, this is not a stylized show. It is a primetime cop drama. It should feel like a primetime cop drama. The animation should take a back seat because this is not Don Don Don. It's not Demon Slayer. It is meant to feel like regular people in this world dealing with this world so that you will be pulled into that world in that way. I think crazy animation and crazy movement would actually hurt this show in that way. Now again, when there's an action scene, they have plenty of frames of animation, so it's lovely to look at in those moments, but it's just not trying to be Mob Psycho 100. Right, that's just not the approach here. And again, I think it works. But anyway, that's my thoughts on the animation of Standalone Complex. Welcome back. I hope you found that useful. A quick update. Sure enough, the flood of people is starting to abate downstairs. I do think I'll have to get used to there being more people around here, but that's not a bad thing for me to get better at. Anyway, let's get John and Steve on the line here in a minute. First, a few things to look out for, and I do want to really point out, this is important. Trigger warning, the episode begins with, I'm just going to say it, representations of suicidal actions, so be aware of that. It's actually, there's more to it than that, but that is some imagery here. Also, look for the many uses of androids in this society and how that's sometimes just implied in the episode, and the influence of French cinema on this episode. So let's get into it. Let's get John and Steve on the line. I love how the logo aligns with the chopper.
Mm-hmm.
It's the exact same shape in there, and that's just kind of cool.
And the way that they've crossed the end characters looks like the blades.
Yeah, that's neat. Uh-oh, it's Lane. I'm not joking, actually.
Yeah.
So, let's just call out, this is how the first episode of Lane starts. Which came out 3 episodes earlier, or 3 years earlier. So, might be a bit of a reference here. It should also be pointed out that that at least 2 of these are classic ways that this was done in Japan and is done in Japan. You know, going out into the water and just letting the water take you, going off a building. These are, I don't want to say traditional, that's very dark, but common, you know.
Well, also it makes me wonder, because remember how Bato, when Major and Bato were on the ship, and Bato's talking about, you know, like what happens if you can't come back up, and it's like if this is a cybernetic body,
right?
You know, walking into the water, that you could float. What kind of way is that to go? It's like if you have a cybernetic body, you don't float.
Yep.
Right.
So it's going to wander in until the waterproofing kind of gives out, and then it floods the system, and you're done.
Yep. We're also seeing very neutral expressions in all the characters, so we're wondering whether these are robots or not.
Right.
I love how that does that, stays on that ripple until it just goes calm again, and you realize, not coming back up.
No.
Long walk off a short pier.
Yeah. Also note 2 different episode titles.
Yes.
So the Android and I.
Japanese title is different from the English title.
You're adorable. Whoa.
Yeah. Is that not cool?
Wow, that they've both gone optical camouflage. That's freaky.
Contrast this with the movie, right?
Right.
They're building full robots, but it looks like a chicken processing plant.
Yeah.
You know, it's very low key, you know, blue collar work.
I'm assuming this gives you then that's your intended feeling, is like this is the market has its breadth.
Yeah.
This is not the high end of the market.
Exactly. Yep. Mm-hmm. Point here is that this is a model that's easy to modify.
Right.
That's bad for the manufacturer in the sense that you can't control what people do with it, but it becomes like an IBM PC. You know, folks can do whatever they want. It's a very open platform in that sense.
Right.
But then the fact that they're all killing themselves, is that one of the reasons they're killing themselves? Is that they're being treated as a commodity by people.
Right.
And all these weird, you know, retrofits being put on them. Interesting. Yeah, I'm overthinking this, absolutely. But Jerry would also be Juri in Japanese. Julie, Juri, as in one of Lane's friends. Alice, Juri, and Reiko.
Oh, good lord! Yeah.
I don't know. Just weird, you know.
Just putting it out there.
If in the back of one of these shots, they're just laying there, you know, on a mountaintop or something.
Or if we could at least get a transformer wired.
Yeah.
I find it interesting they've dropped the cloaking.
Yeah.
They're not. It's not like they're not inside the building. So literally, everybody's still wandering around. All of a sudden, you have 2 people just appear out of nowhere.
There's reactions.
Yeah, everyone's just like,
oh, hey, look, there's people standing around all of our important component secret stuff. Okay.
What is this big blue thing? I don't get it.
And I guess the implication is, you know, once he's identified he's with Section 9, and they've acknowledged that they're part of the investigation, they're cooperating with the investigation, no need for secrets anymore.
Right.
Yeah. But wondering why, and you're talking about, you know, aftermarket inclusions. Like it wouldn't be. My first thought wouldn't be that necessarily these people are mucking around doing something,
right?
But that somebody's trying, somebody's offered something great. Hey, do you want your Jerry to have blue eyes? Here is this like eye adjustment that has some kind of malware, something in it. That this is the ones that are killing themselves are the ones that for some reason the hack didn't work right.
Yep.
But that there's a larger something going on that they're trying to plan.
Or maybe the hack did work right. You know, maybe it's a nefarious, you know, part that someone's trying to control a bunch of Jerry models. Who knows?
Yeah, and the consequence is can I make them do something that's against human nature? So now that I've proved the theory, I can get them to kill themselves. I can get them to kill others.
Right. Yep.
You know what I mean?
That,
maybe something along those lines. I would resist so hard going up to the Tachikoma being like, "Hey, buddy, how are you?" As it's waddling along kind of cutely. I'm like, "That's adorable."
Also, you see the press are there now,
Yeah.
so it's an open story. I also just like a minor thing. Think of how hard it is to paint chrome
Yeah.
in that sign and make the letters stand out that look like it's an actual metallic image. Just nicely done. And obviously, it's it's a little hard to read. Like they're doing their best with that, but neat stuff.
Yeah.
Actually, again, little thing. How the police officer is standing, just that casual hands on hips, just chilling out there, not standing stiff and straight. Somebody thought through. Again, he's keeping an eye on the press, making sure it's a very chill kind of a detail. Note Aramaki's facial expression.
Yeah.
That tells us there's more going on.
Yeah.
He's not sold. That's why they're there. Okay. Got it.
Yep. So this is tying back to episode 1. So again, to our earlier point, CGI car.
Yep.
Aramaki's now walking over to it. Nobody's inside the car, so you don't have to draw that.
And the inside of the car is black. The seats, I'm guessing, are 2D.
Probably, yeah.
But like the driver's section is entirely blacked out.
To that point, I want to see if I can find out. I'm trying to reverse. Yeah. The car stopped, then the door opened.
Yeah.
So you didn't have to move the 2D with that. They just added the 2D and then had the door open on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Check them out individually, starting with the highest priority.
But look at the blue car. Even the blue car. The entire back window is entirely blue.
Yeah, that's true. You're right.
Black.
Oh, wow. I didn't even notice that. They completely got the back windshield wrong on the blue car.
Yeah. But it's just, you don't have to populate that thing with anything. It just has to be a car. Oh, okay.
So again, let's call out first the fingering, the fingers moving, and then kind of going down like that.
Bashfulness. Yeah, it's adorable. Jeez.
Oh, God.
Meanwhile, that cop's coffee and donuts are like all over the front seat of the car. Damn it! Watch where you're driving.
Giving him a heart attack. Jeez. Let's point out the use of cinema symbolism here.
Mm-hmm.
All that kind of going on. The idea of a romance, thus implying doomed romance.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. This is going to be a tragedy.
He's a drama queen.
Yeah. Yep. So I just love the character design on this guy, right? Like the hairstyle, the slightly loud outfit, just that sense that he's, exactly the kind of guy that a TV program would call to have for special report.
An opinion on this, yeah.
Here's our first direct connection back. The idea that androids are now are advanced enough to possibly have ghosts, which was what happened in the movie. But then also reference literally to just like in a sci-fi manga. Wow. Okay. Interesting that Bato is calling out that part of Section 9's job is to look at every possibility. That it's not action and adventure and all that kind of stuff. It's being prepared for all this stuff, doing all sorts of investigations that never go anywhere. Again, sort of makes it more of an NCIS kind of grounded thing.
Yeah.
Well, also gives you an appreciation for the fact that means you have a lot of time just going around.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, and think about what Aramaki did, right? He walked into a plant and spent 10 minutes asking a plant manager what happened here.
Yeah.
No special information needed, no nothing, just, okay, what's happening with your androids. Very dull work, but...
Yeah, but that is police work.
Yep. Yeah, very basic police work, hence... the comment of, can't we let the local cops handle this? Very basic police work.
Mm-hmm. I also have to call out the great work on the dubbing team here, where Bato's line is the other million times -1. because it would be so awkward in English to say the other 999,999 times. It fills up the line. It doesn't work, but that gets it across.
I'll just rip the door open. That's all that
matters. Exactly. This does look like the house they were in before. But we also know they've left. Love the detail here of the lampshade askew, giving us that implication that the bed's been kind of sort of made, but the lampshade has been hit, so it's been in use recently. So note how we're zooming in on this 2D background, but you also get
movement.
Yeah.
Look at the right
moving.
Yeah, on the right-hand side, they're animating the wall moving towards you. And then they pan the camera around. Nicely done.
Alphaville?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Are these actual movies?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I saw Alphaville eons
ago. Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's a weird film.
Yeah.
I've never seen About des Soufflés.
Yeah. About the soufflé. That's an interesting concept. Pierrot Le Fou, Vivre sa vie, Une femme marie.
Oh, yeah, right?
Yep. All the titles on the
Pierre
side.
Pierre Le Fou is, that's Cowboy Bebop, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's also a French film.
Yeah.
Right.
Interesting. And I do know, got to check on this, at least one writer on Bebop worked on this show. That could also be a little Easter egg there.
And the one below it made the Abyss. No.
Deeper French film. So we're getting across this idea that it's a specific genre this guy's going for. Also should be pointed out, French romance tends to be a little tragic. Yeah. Guess what's happening here?
He's trying to bribe the major.
Yeah. The major has found a stash of Jerry's that have been modded.
Yes, they have. I'm sure.
And he's saying, "Well, if just you can just take this and move along, officer, right?"
Right? Please.
Not the right answer.
No.
And she is not pleased.
No, she is not.
Somebody's about to get some personality redirection. Who do you think I am? Well, they roughed up the mob.
To our point, think of how Section 9 is treating this, where they're going through all these things and they don't care. They just, okay, moving along.
Yeah.
By the way, to John, you're going against the mob. We haven't established Paz's history or skill set yet.
True. Very true. Yes. And he definitely has a certain vibe to him, doesn't he?
Yeah. Now, isn't that ironic?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I left Canada to avoid the trap.
Yeah, that's a great point. Why does Jerry need sunglasses?
It's hiding her identity.
Yeah.
It's like Superman.
Mm-hmm. I also think it's just, it's a French actress, probably too,
Yeah.
And I mean that in his mind, he's dressing her like
all the classic films he loves, she's playing that fabulous actress role.
Exactly. Yes.
Exactly.
And here we get our first shot of Aramaki's harem.
Yeah.
He likes them ponytails.
He does.
Why don't you have different assistant androids? Why, if I get to have steak every day, would I want hamburger?
Exactly. Yes. Pretty much his idea. Ishikawa says this while looking at his gun.
Yep.
The outdated piece of machinery.
Yep.
We're kind of alluding to this, but this is just for them. They're just okay, this is just literally a walk in the park for us.
Yeah. Great point.
They're just going, we're doing the job. Hey, it's easy. This guy's an idiot, and we know what the major's gonna do. There's banter. There's, just like everyone knows how this is going to end except for the guy,
Yeah.
Marshall, and they're just, it's just, just this conversation, just like, it's not even buddy cop,
Yeah.
Comedy. It's just people just like going, oh, we got an easy day on the job today.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Well, we've had a hostage situation. We've had fighting a tank. Like, this is fairly mundane by standards of those two experiences.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, right.
Hell no.
Lie. Bold-faced lie. Jeez.
Note how she doesn't blink.
Nope.
To your earlier point, she's just, Bato hasn't said a thing to him yet.
Yeah.
They're just
stop. Hey, you.
Mm-hmm. He's running because he knows what's happening, and they're just okay, fine, keep going.
Yeah.
Oh, he'll tucker himself out.
We get to get in our steps for the day. Great. Okay.
By the way, this is very much a French movie right now.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
The way that it ends and the way that how people just appear and they just stand there and they don't really say anything.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. That's a great point. Even it being, evening, the sun coming in, the golden hour. Yeah.
And what just occurred to me now, it's like, why did they pick Canada? French.
Yeah.
Canada.
Canadian. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I gotcha. The little Quebecois. Okay, I gotcha.
Yep. He would know French. Yep. That's a Navi.
That's fun.
That's how the Navis worked in Lane.
That's right.
Flipped out and had the thing they looked at.
Ooh,
That's interesting.
Didn't it have a screen that came out?
Yeah, it did. Yeah. You're right. That's true. Huh. If that isn't a shot from a French movie.
Right.
Looking, I don't want to be in love with you anymore. Now, you can argue from an Asimov's Three Laws perspective that what she's realized is he's in danger of getting shot. And so she has to act to protect him from that.
And can I just point out, oof, you just got dumped by a sex robot.
Yeah.
Dude, that's rough.
And it should also be pointed out, she is wearing, at most, a dress, for lack of a better word, right?
Like a sundress.
And, there's clearly no bra.
Yep.
So there's some implications there. Yeah. Wow, even the pan up to the sky.
Pan up to the sky. Oh, jeez.
Haruhi Suzumiya up in here.
Yeah.
Here we go. Now we're getting the story.
Is this the first time we've seen her with lipstick?
I think so. At least, clearly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think when they were fighting the tank and you had the fisheye lens, you could see she had a shade of pink.
Okay.
On
Could be.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Get with the clock.
Why would a robot? Why would a cyborg carry a watch? She knows what time it is.
Mm-hmm. Her internal chronometer would tell her what time it is.
But she has a fondness for some little antiquated,
Machines.
thing. Yeah.
It's like the entirety of their final conversation was just this movie script.
They were literally just otaku quoting their favorite movie.
Yeah.
So could the Jerry have actually had its own will?
Yes.
Possible. Very possible.
An artificial ghost.
And just think about the implications of that. As much as they dress this up in kind of the silliness of a pampered, diplomat son who has decided to make his toy unique effectively. That's an outdated model.
Yeah.
If that can achieve some level of consciousness, what about late model androids? That's pretty scary.
Think about the Tachikomas.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, the late models, they actually can cook, so they can't. It impedes the developing a ghost.
Oh, okay. I've certainly had times in cooking when it's impaired my intelligence.
Well, I thought that was interesting because we've had My Wife is Quiet or whatever. That was the android wife this past season. That it's like, what an interesting comment on the part of them. Be like, oh, that thing couldn't probably cook. It's an older model. It's like, it's a freaking android. It's like got full range mode. You're telling me you couldn't upload a recipe in that thing? Really?
Yeah, I'm assuming the implication is that it can't control its body well enough to do intricate tasks.
Because it was saying that they were saying that the movements in the speech are
clumsy.
clumsy.
Yeah.
You know, she actually falls down like
Right.
an android. Yeah.
Which gets back to the Major's point about her early body not being able to control it very well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, when she was fiddling with her watch, I honestly thought that she had somehow pulled like the skin.
oh, the skin off.
Up
Yeah.
and
Oh,
was
right.
like adjusting the rotating cuff on her wrist. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, what is going on here?
Well,
Pardon me while I just do this maintenance right here. Like, what the hell?
for those who might be considering watching this further, there is a story behind that watch.
True. Very true.
But pertaining to this episode, what did we learn about Tokusa?
Oh yeah, that's right. He has a family.
Wife and child. Yep.
And who else has a wife and child in Section 9? Nobody.
Yep.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
Do they have? Does anybody have like partners, girlfriends, boyfriends?
Oh, yeah.
anything?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Okay.
that's an interesting episode.
Okay. But he's the only one that's married, wife and kids,
Yeah.
or
Yes.
wife and kid.
Yes.
Or at least one that he comes home to every
Yeah.
night. You know, I think one or two may have fathered a child at some point, right?
Ooh.
You know,
Yes.
but beyond that,
To not it's not a spoiler.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
asking since you guys know about this. That means that he is really the one with the most to lose.
yeah.
If Section
Yeah.
9 gets in like deep water.
Yeah.
Because he has somebody that he has to two somebodies that he has to protect versus everybody else if they're not really attached.
Yeah.
That means that there's very little sort of Achilles heel to the way of living.
Yeah.
Right.
It also says a lot about Togusa. It's an interesting element of Togusa. Like he accepted the position at Section 9, knowing the implications for his family. You know, this is dangerous. You know, they might lose him at any time.
Yeah.
And
And just
he
that,
might lose
I guess
them.
where the part. Yeah, and I was gonna say that's the part where the spoiler comes in that
Yeah.
without knowing the detail of it, does that become a plot point ever in the series?
It certainly comes up. You know, as a
it comes up in discussion. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
It is definitely a as things get progressively bigger. That's not a spoiler. You know, as
Right.
they get involved in deeper and deeper things, that becomes a talking point of like, what happens if Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there more than just the sort of, oh, my wife is watching the film that this whole thing was based on. This is also that
It's a weakness.
these are
of
the
his.
stakes that
Yeah.
he has to look at. Okay.
As you go through Tokusa's character development, the family is focused in on, and that's I think the best way to put it for the rest of the series. So she is a recurring character. So is his child.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're not relegated to time as in this, and this is the amount of time that they would spend in an episode, but they're not throwaway characters.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just kind of curious because we're by up to episode 3, we've now had all of these moving parts sort of clicking into place and how it's going, and now we see he is the one on the team that has stakes involved in this thing where it's like he's got something to protect.
Yeah.
There are like John. I'm like inwardly screaming because there are actually like Brent knows what I'm talking about. There's at least one major episode where everything you're concerned about is present.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we don't want to go there.
It's also interesting because
Spoilers.
Togusa's ex-police, not ex-military.
Right.
Right. So he does have the advantage of that, of being not just, there's obviously the dangers of the military is one thing, you get deployed, whatever, but there's the back and forth of deployment, whereas police, it's every day your life is on the line, you never know what's going to happen. So you wonder if that also hasn't factored into his decision, that like he's used to this kind of danger in the way that Section 9 was not built with that. To Steve's point, I don't know how deep it goes into in all the other stories. The implication is that Aramaki assembled Section 9 out of, because he was in the military, other military folks that he knew or came across, and was like, I need folks who I know and can trust. I know this person. I've heard of this person. I'll hire them in, and so forth. So he's assembling it off of his thing. Togusa is the first member of the next generation, right?
Yes.
He's the first one they've hired beyond that, these military buddies and buddies of buddies kind of thing. We can't do that forever. Can we bring in somebody who has that different perspective, who hasn't been aggressively cyberized and so forth?
Right.
And that's why his character development is so interesting through this. Yeah.
I was going to say, too, with people who were in military and may have had other experiences with other people that would say, it's a bad idea to be married.
Right, yeah.
If he is the newest member coming out of the police, he is accustomed to, like, this episode.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I go to work, I do my police thing.
Yep.
And, I bust the perp or I process paperwork, but I'm not doing something that makes me a target. So at the end of the day, I take my hat off, leave it at the shop, go home to the wife and kid, and it's a lovely life. Versus the implications of being in a government agency that makes a lot of enemies.
Yeah.
Where it's like, now you have to sort of start to dial in, this is a different job.
Exactly. And the implication being a father of a young family, Section 9 presumably pays real well.
Yes.
So he's probably looking at it from that perspective too, of, however this works out.
Risk and reward.
Yeah. I'll also point out and again, I don't know whether they deal with this, but Section 9 is not a in it until you die, kind of a situation.
Right.
Presumably people, retire, work out. It's, it hasn't been around for decades and decades and decades, so we don't know what the pattern is.
Right.
But presumably there's also the thing where he could work there for, 17 years and then say, okay, great, done. I'm retiring now. All's well.
Or 2 episodes later saying, man, this is too hot for me. I can't deal with this.
Right. So it's not like the most recent incarnation of the series on Netflix where they talk about, your body is owned by the government.
Right.
That kind of thing. So you keep going until you're done.
Right. Yeah.
In this part of the franchise, it's very much, as Brent's saying, it's just kind of like these are disparate people who are coming into this group under Aramaki's direction and working as this group, and any one of them can be like, see ya.
Yep.
At any given point.
It's also interesting to think through. I'm just thinking about this now. You have that stereotype of the military unit where everyone's there for each other, they're protecting each other, you're my brother, all that kind of stuff. And you wonder if that hasn't formed a certain kind of I'm in it until I get shot in the head mentality.
Right.
Yeah.
Which not intentionally, no one's going in there consciously, planning that. But I wonder if Togusa is kind of providing a new, fresh perspective on that, where he just isn't thinking that way.
Yeah. Because if you watch the series further, as you start seeing more, like, for example, Paz, you're like, once you get Paz's story, you're gonna be like, where the hell did Aramaki dig this guy up? and Borma makes sense because of what he can do. Ishikawa makes sense because of what he does. Bato makes sense what he does, and Major makes sense what he does, and Togusa makes sense of what he does. But Paz is kind of like the outlier for that, in that you just realize that everyone else is giving this kind of structure that they live that kind of coalesces. And Paz is like the odd guy out eventually that you'll see where he's just like, you're just like, that's where you come from. Those are your skill sets. Good Lord, what did Aramaki have on you? Kind of a thing. Because it's just like, and there's I just want to talk forever. But Paz has his own episode. Let's put it that way. And it ends in a very interesting way.
In fact, I think everyone gets their own episode at some point.
Yes. Saito gets his episode.
Yep,
Saito,
absolutely he does.
Saito's is very interesting because we don't know if it's true.
Right. Yeah.
Now, was this his episode?
No.
Or Okay, so this is it's just focusing on him at the end with the wife and
Correct.
kid
Yeah.
to relate it to the movie text or
Yeah.
titling that they were doing. Okay.
Togusa is a major character in this franchise.
No, when you get to the episodes focus on a character, they will be more or less the only character in the episode, right? The others are around, but they're very much the center of that episode.
So he will get his own at a later time.
His own
Okay,
story.
very good.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was a fun one because it feels like it's a bit of a change up tonally. It's a little lighter. It's more of a again, it's an episode of NCIS basically of them just going around doing the police work thing, and there's no big explosion at the end. It's just we arrest the guy, but you still get the twist, the science fiction twist at the end of what are the implications of what we just saw. And I also just like the aspect that the human was acting more robot than the robot, of just mimicking, copying the film.
Well, I will give them props for that very film-esque ending, because I was expecting you heard me when he pulled the gun where it's like no, because I thought it was gonna go pull the gun, aim, fire, being not trained, firing, not hitting. Then Jerry jumps in front as the major takes her out, and he then realizes that wasn't in the movie. And it's like, and then we lead to the same end kind of discussion of like, well, the Jerry did something that wasn't in the film. She threw herself in front of him. So you get the same kind of what's going on, but a much, much more tragic ending. So I appreciate them taking that sort of high road. It's like you don't have to kill the Jerry. You could just
it's not melodramatic. It's more dramatic. I completely agree. And it's just nice having an episode where they can kind of do whatever they want to, where it can be a quieter episode. It can end more quietly. Yeah.
And the nice framing of the Jerry in her lingerie and the Major in her lingerie. Oh, how lovely.
Exactly. I wonder if there is some implication that cyborgs have less of a concern about their bodies, and so they just don't care what they wear, as much.
Right.
It just changes how you think about, what your body is. Who knows?
I'm not trying to impress anybody because I've got the body I want.
Yep, exactly.
That's a really good point, because there's the episode where the Major wears a dress and everyone just goes, "Oh my god!" Like it's the best thing ever. It's like milk and cookies. Or like she's wearing a dress as opposed to being like running around like this.
Yeah.
Like really, a dress? God, man.
Yeah. Everybody notices when she shows less skin. Like. How's that work?
Exactly. Yeah.
She's wearing a parka and like snow pants. Oh my god, that's so hot. What? What's wrong with you?
Yeah. Cool. That's episode 3 of Standalone Complex. So, John, considering where you are now, how much more likely would you be to continue watching this series now that you watched like 3 episodes? You have this much context for the show. What's your sort of excitement level about continuing the series?
It really does a fantastic job of making me interested in the subject matter.
Cool.
Because my only experience was initially was confusing,
Yeah.
and I was like, I don't get why people find this really all that interesting, because I don't watch NCIS, you know what I mean? I don't watch any of these like deep political machination kind of shows. And it's just like, oh, well now I'm seeing, the underlying aspect that, from carried over from the movie. It's like, what is it to be a person? What is the ghost? What, how does this play out through what is the larger umbrella of society and all the interfighting agencies, but like it really comes down to the core question of humanity at the end of the day, and it makes it much more interesting, much more accessible. Holy cow! As opposed to Aramaki sitting behind a desk. He did what? What's happening? They're after me? I'm like, what the hell's that? Like, what's going on?
Absolutely. One thing I also enjoy about this series is that you get more the sense of what it's like to be a human around all this technology, where everyone's so blasé, you know, no one's surprised by all this technology because we're not. We're surrounded by technology. It's just normal.
Yeah.
And it's just,
Right.
oh yeah, I have this robot companion that lives with me all day. Yeah, just what life is.
I mean,
Well, the first time I saw Bato, I was just like, whoa, eyes.
Right.
And it's like, but in this, he's wandering around people, seeing folks. Even though the Tachikoma, when it uncloaks,
Yeah.
everybody in the factory was like, what the? Where'd it come from? Nobody screamed
True.
and ran.
Yeah.
It
Right.
appeared, the Tachikoma kind of organizes itself and kind of like heads off after the major, and everybody's just like, where'd it come from? And they're just, that's it. That's
and
it's,
well,
you're right.
you know,
They're really blasé. It's like, oh yeah, that's a thing.
at most, their curiosity of going, oh, damn, this thing showed up. How did it do that?
Yeah.
Nothing
You know?
terrifying. Nothing like, oh Lord, what's going on? You know, it's like somebody pulling
Maybe-
out a cell phone, a smartphone.
Oop.
If you pulled
Or-
a smartphone out in like 1985 and
Right.
started doing stuff on it, people would flip out, lose their freaking minds.
Mm-hmm.
But you pull a smartphone out now, and everybody's like, "Ooh, do you have a Samsung, or do you got like a
Yep.
a Google phone, or what do you got?"
Mm-hmm.
They're not amazed at the device; they're just curious about the actual manufacturer.
Yep.
Yeah. Or
Absolutely.
they could be like, God, this is the 5th time this week.
Yeah.
Our
But also-
anti-spying industrial espionage group for this company sucks. We keep having these things uncloaking left and right on the shop floor. What the hell's happening?
Yeah. But, you get an interesting view of the technology, like we're saying, in
Yeah.
society. Not only is it blasé, but there is, use of these things, even outdated technology. Look, we got the bar guy, with a bevy of Jerry's
Yeah.
to do the thing. And it's illegal what he's doing because it is prostitution of sorts. And and the major is not having any of this.
No.
But the thing is that, well, it's like Rule 34.
Yeah.
If you make something, then you can do something with it, and may not be. And as they pointed out, well, they made modifications that are not to specs, but don't we all do that, right? We get a laptop, we put things on it, we have it specified to do the things that we want it to do, and it's no more different than that.
Yep.
And so all these people are living with that technology. It's when things start to get freaky is when Togusa at the end goes, wait a minute, there was supposed to be more dialogue. No, that's it. And he just realizes, oh, something new is happening.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love the factory also, that how mundane it, super advanced Android, even though older model.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, we're gonna stop even manufacturing aftermarket parts. I'm like, are you talking about like a GM? You're talking about
Yeah.
this incredible
Yeah.
device that is just like, oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
years
Pinto.
old. We don't care. We're not gonna make the catalytic converters for them anymore. The CV joints and all this stuff. Nah, we're getting out of that.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yep.
I mean, we're only doing this far because the kids need a job, and Simon over there is a special. We put the socket in here, and somebody's got to have a job. Somebody's got to dig the ditch.
I'm almost surprised they didn't take a moment to kind of make a little joke to be like, oh, there's going to be a bunch of like cheap, terribly manufactured aftermarket parts that'll come out of America. You know what I mean? Oh, perfect opportunity missed on that one. I think.
Yeah. But yeah, no, absolutely. These are commodities to an extent.
Yeah.
And what do we think about that? What do we feel? And then getting back to the point of the episode, this man fell in love with one.
Yep.
Just fundamentally, like that was true love, however you want to define it, despite the fact that it was just a manufactured physical object. Welcome back. I hope you found that useful. Now, So, bad news. According to the folks downstairs, we had a new arrival at the cafe, and it turned out to be our hacker friend. And sure enough, he implemented an even worse hack this time. Not sure how, details were unclear from what people said he did down there, but pretty much everything is on the fritz. I'm gonna need some help with this. I'll be back later, and until then, watch more anime.